Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the Vaxee NP01 wireless 4K edition, the standard size NP01, not the NP01S. But since they have now made their entire lineup 4K, I figured I would just cover the Outset AX as well, because I never gave this an individual video. So kind of a Vaxee roundup, kind of an NP01 review. It is a mouse review at the end of the day. That's really all I can promise. But yeah, this mouse is 70 grams, and that's insane. Normally, anything above asserted weight, people just stop caring. For some people, that number is lower than others, but I am just in love with this mouse, which sounds so bizarre, because I am pretty far from a heavier mouse advocate, but Vaxee's entire lineup is not like truly lightweight. Even Zowie with the U2, that's pushing a significantly lighter mouse than anything Vaxee has put out. The NP01S does come in at 68 grams, I believe, and it's just a scaled down, thinner, lower version of this NP01 shape. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, 70 grams, that is a scary number, but it just truly does not feel like 15 grams heavier than my modded GPX. It is like a pretty bulky, wide mouse that I am only relaxed gripping. They did make a few small changes to the original NP01 shape, which I'll get into later, but yeah, in general, the balancing is good, and using this mouse in hand, I only use it on faster pads pretty much as well. This is the Rokaku, but I was using the Lethal Gaming Gear Venus, just pretty much anything faster than a Zero, or just not a traditional cloth texture, because I just don't like those with Zowie's or Vaxee's stock skates, my apologies. It just felt incredible in hand. It just truly felt comfortable, and I know there are a lot of ergos on the market now. There's the X-Lite V3, there's the Sprime PM1, there's Zowie's mice, there's so many. So I'm not saying this is the end-all be-all mouse. But yeah, I was really just blown away by how comfortable and enjoyable this was to use despite being heavier than the traditional mouse. And I'll get into the features soon, but surprisingly, I don't really ever talk about like aiming or in-game experience because I think it's extremely personal, and it's just weird for me to make a recommendation or just say firmly that one mouse makes me aim better when I just don't even believe that's true. But I did set a high score on 1well6 targets small with this mouse. I finally got 1500, which is by no means like an impossible score to hit, but I was surprised it came with a heavy mouse on a higher sensitivity on a speed pad rather than something like a 40 gram WO mouse or ULX. I'm by no means saying that lightweight mice are a scam or that heavier mice are better. I just personally had a very good experience using a different type of setup. And yeah, same thing goes for Fortnite, where I felt comfortable, stable, but still able to play fast on the mouse. And it's just, I don't know, using a relaxed palm or claw grip, kind of switching between the two on this shape, it just feels very comfortable because it's similar to the NP01S. Like, you have the same contact points, it just accommodates larger hands a bit better. And I've come to appreciate that, but I also think the changes they made to the shape are a big reason for that. So yeah, really the changes they made were pretty minor, but I don't have my old copy to compare, but I just rewatched my old video and I was kind of hating on the shape, so I'm definitely more positive on this version. They slightly straightened the left side where you place your thumb, and apparently they smoothened the tapering on like this top part of the mouse. I don't really put my fingers up towards there, but I guess that could have made the mouse feel a bit more comfortable for me. But yeah, there's just a ton of room on the right side to place your fingers. The hump just sits very naturally in my palm because I'd say it's like a medium profile shape. If you want the highest profile design from Vaxee, obviously go for the Outset AX, but with that, it's just like too fucking bulky, it's too short, my fingers are too high up, and this is a mouse that I never gave an individual review to because I just I don't know, I didn't love it, and it wasn't 4K compatible, not that that really matters, but I pretty much just planned to cover it whenever they made it compatible, and that is now. So really, I just have a lot of minor gripes. I already mentioned that the shape is just not for me, though I do understand, like, if you relax claw or just palm grip, that it's very viable, but it's just different strokes for different folks. I'm saying I prefer the NP01 for that grip style. But yeah, especially for Fortnite, the side buttons are just so fucking high up on this, and I always just find it weird to like place my thumb so high while actually gripping the mouse. So it just ultimately doesn't work for me. Similarly, the NP01 side buttons are very or the NP01S rather, they're thin and small. You can just see they're a bit larger on the standard size version. Additionally, the scroll wheel is wider, so it's just like a scaled up mouse, and I find it to be working for me. This is not like a honeymoon phase. I've had this mouse for a few weeks now testing it, and yeah, it's just really, it's solid quality. Obviously, Vaxee is not going to put out something that feels weak, but I did watch somebody else's review, I believe House Gaming, and he pointed out that there is side flexing or like side button activation through the shell. But truly, no matter how much pressure I put, like, while actually gripping the mouse from the side with my fingers, like, you're not going to be able to activate them in game, but it's only while squeezing the shell. But I did notice that in another review, so just why not point it out? But yeah, no creaking, rattling. Really, this mouse does feel built like a tank, even though there is that slight side button activation. It really does not feel dense. Something that helps with that, like I said, is using speedier pads. If you use a mud pad, the experience with this mouse, it's just going to be a lot worse in my opinion. But I would say there's like one build quality nitpick, and it's just like creaking, just general shell creaking when I press buttons in. Like scroll wheel, if I click it in, I can sometimes get it, and mouse 1, if I click in, I can just feel creaking. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, it's weird. It seems to like go away when the mouse is raised from my desk, and I think I reported this issue on another Vaxee mouse, and then it went away when I switched the skates. So it's something weird, but it's just like I can feel the scroll wheel creak, and I can feel the buttons creak when I press them in like pretty hard. It's not game breaking, and when just normally like pressing the clicks, it doesn't matter. The click feel on this is legitimately identical to the NP-01S in my experience. While the Outset AX does have a bit like lighter, faster, more spammable clicks, but it's just like very minor, and I think it's due to the shell design. But yeah, the clicks are not too heavy by any means. You can just see how quick the rebound is, how spammable they are. But yeah, there is a good bit of post travel, and that is where the creaking, grinding, whatever you want to call it, occurs. Nothing really to note in terms of side to side wobble. Like there is play, but it's not something I noticed in my time using the mouse. But yeah, my experience with this click implementation has been very positive. These do measure in at around 2 ms of click latency. That is according to House Gaming's video, and it lines up with the 2 ms debounce time setting on the bottom of the mouse. And that is not the end of the world. If you really feel like this is going to perform worse than a mouse that has 1 ms click latency, I don't know what to say. I mean, God bless is really the only thing I can say. I was able to set clicking scores. I was able to hit like pre-fire shots with this mouse with that extra 1 millisecond of click latency. Like it just sounds so insane to even have to justify that. But yes, this is the gaming mouse community, and yeah, there's no in-game issues with the click feeling or responsiveness. That's all I gotta say. The side buttons are very nice compared to Vaxee's other implementations. Like I said, NP-01S, it's just a bit too thin and small. Outset AX, it's way up high. XE, I honestly forget, but here we are. NP-01, it is good. I have zero complaints whatsoever. It's just like in a good spot for my fingers, regardless of how I'm gripping the mice. They're light, they're spammable. They're not the lightest buttons ever, but they have like a crisp, firm feeling. The quality on them is good. So really no complaints on my end. Scroll wheel, it's much less egregious. I feel like they've really toned down the like notchiness, because when they first launched their mice, it was pretty much Zowie level in terms of just nasty scroll wheel. The click is not too heavy, but like I mentioned, if you like click down super hard, you might get some grinding. I don't think that really matters though. And yeah, now moving on beyond the mouse, maybe there's a few features I'll get back to, but the 4K implementation from Vaxee did take a while. They were late to the party, but they showed up, and the other mice are backwards compatible with the dongle. I did pair both of them. I had a bit of issues at first, but I was able to successfully update the firmware, and then the pairing is pretty simple. You just follow the tutorial they have posted. And yeah, you can adjust the polling rate on the mouse. You can see they still only have the 3 options, but they got creative. If everything's lit up, then you're on 4K. Now I'm on 2K. Now I'm on 1K, and then from there it makes sense. But yeah, you just use the report rate button to configure it, and I have had a very good experience with this implementation, primarily using it on 2K. I don't know why. I was able to use the 4K free of stutters in Kovacs and Fortnite, but I don't know, I just had it on 2K for the majority of my testing. I only did run into this weird issue, like while just using the mouse for my browser, the cursor would slow down, and I can only imagine it's like the polling rate dropping, wireless interference, something like that, but it never happened in game, so it's just very weird. But yeah, really in game, this mouse feels premium all around, from the tech to the build. I don't have any complaints really. The coating is a typical like Vaxee coating, so it is going to be rubberized, grippy. It does show moisture though, so if you do use this mouse like for a longer time, you might see some moisture like on it towards the end of the session. You can just wipe it off though, obviously, and it doesn't make the mouse slippery, but sometimes I do notice like picking up my hand from it, it that there is like some oil or just moisture left over on it. And yeah, this is a shape that I really was not expecting to love when I first got it from Vaxee. I'm like, okay, this is cool. They have 4K, but I was not expecting to enjoy a just 70-gram mouse so much. It's kind of bizarre because I had already been a huge fan of the NP01S shape. This is obviously heavily inspired by, well, the NP01S, well, you know, chicken or the egg, which came first, I don't know. But yeah, this is just a much bigger mouse. If you are looking for something that's just more of a, like an asymmetrical mouse rather than a full-on ergo, this is definitely something I can recommend. Compared to the GPX, like if you look at it from the front, they look very similar, but if you look at it from the back, you can tell that the NP01 is just much wider, bulkier. It feels a lot more stable in my hand. And yeah, like I said, I just really, if you told me that there was a 15-gram difference between these objects while in motion, I would not fucking believe you. So I don't know what kind of black magic they were working, but the density just does not feel, it doesn't feel that dense. So yeah, I don't know really how much else on this mouse there is to cover. The stock skates they provide are just run-of-the-mill PTFE skates. They're 0.6 millimeter PTFE, and I just really don't like the way Vaxee's stock skates feel on just traditional cloth pads. Obviously, you can swap them out. Many people do that nowadays, but I don't know, I just left the stock skates on, and I was able to use the mouse just fine. The battery life seems to be average. Like, it's hard to tell. I don't even know what the fucking indicator is for when the battery's low. Maybe these, like, LEDs that you literally can't see will start blinking, but yeah, the mouse is, like, kind of just died on me at random, but then I plug it in, so I'm sure there's some way to know, and I am the idiot. But yeah, obviously, if you want improved battery life, an easy way to do that is just by keeping the mouse on 2K hertz polling rate. But yeah, they don't run a ton of power saving settings, which is part of what makes the implementation feel so smooth and solid, at least as far as I know. But yeah, really, in conclusion, I have obviously had a very good time using this mouse. It kind of changed the way I think about some of these asymmetrical, bulkier shapes. Not the Lambsy Thorn, sadly. I gave that another try, and I was still like, nah, this shape is no good. But yeah, I think $130 for this mouse. It's obviously no bargain. They do include the 4K dongle, so I think that's a $10 premium compared to where they were before. But yeah, you are paying for the design. You're paying partly for the Vaxee brand that does just make premium mice, premium shapes. And yeah, obviously, if you're in the market for a budget Chinese mouse, this is not what you're going to settle on. But if you're somebody who's like bought into the Vaxee Zowie, just premium quality mice that are still a little bit heavier, I think that this is just one of the shapes to consider. For me, it's definitely the best. I can't confirm that it will be for everybody. But yeah, this is something that I could even say that I prefer using over the GPX 2, which sounds just fucking absurd. But yeah, it's just a little bit more well-rounded in my opinion. Definitely a seal of approval level mouse. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I just really was not expecting Vaxee to come out with an updated shape NP01 4K banger. And obviously their entire lineup 4K compatible. Just pick whichever shape you think is going to be best for you. But that's all I got to say. Peace out.